Hello there. It's me, Hazer, here for another Hayvering episode. Have been in the pub for the last 4 hours or so. My last day of work was today, so excuse me if I'm a little bit off the pace, perhaps. But I felt like I needed to record this. Julio has been permanently suspended in-game. The initial suspension was a week, I believe. And today that seems to have been upgraded to a permanent account ban, which means he is also banned from playing competitive Smite. So that is big news. And just for the avoidance of doubt, all the stuff that has been going on Twitter over the last few days, all the stuff that I've been talking about and the other pro players have been talking about, as far as I'm aware, I didn't know about this. And nobody who I've spoken to within the SPL knew about this either thus far. I haven't spoken to any of the Leviathans, to be fair. But this is a surprise for me. And it seemed like it was a surprise for Julio as well. I think... I don't know if I want to be uncharitable about it, but it seemed like he found out at the same time as everyone else, which I'm not a big fan of personally. I think he should at least be given a heads up if the ruling is changing and he's getting a permanent ban. But I mean, it is what it is, I suppose. Let's get into it. Let's look at some stuff. Let's look at what's going on. Okay, so oh, there we go. It's working. I just wanted to know that Julio started streaming at 10:58. This tweet came out at 10:59, and apparently he was finding out on stream alongside everybody else. That's what people are telling me. That he looked surprised when he came onto stream. He didn't know it was coming. Cheers. Oh, that's good. Anyway, let's have a look at the statement. First of all, tweet, SPL update. Warnings. What's this warning sign? Okay, it's not telling me if I hover over. Whatever. In light of additional reports regarding Julio's in-game conduct, our support team has perma-banned his account. Julio is also banned indefinitely from the SPL and has been dropped from the Leviathans roster. Read our updated ruling. Let's have a look. Update 29th of July, which is today. After receiving an overwhelming number of reports regarding Julio's in-game conduct via Twitter and other platforms, our customer support and league operation teams opened a more in-depth investigation. Okay. So my first question is, I don't understand how this wasn't a part of the first week of investigation. I don't really get how it took them. How long was it they were investigating Julio's account? It was a while, right? For the initial report to come out on what they were doing, it took them a while. If they weren't investigating his account, what were they doing? Is my first question. I don't really understand that. And the Twitter reports came in before, I think, the initial verdict was met, so I don't really understand how the initial verdict has ended up changing. To be honest with you, on Julio's behavior, I can understand why he would be suspended. As per league rules, Julio will not be allowed to play in the SPL for... So this is the initial one where it was a 1 week. On the 28th. I don't know if I can find out when the initial report is. Let's go through Smite Pro. Let's find out. I'm sure it'll say. So it was last Friday, right? Which was the 23rd. So it took them 5 days to come to their initial verdict. And then 1 day for them to update that verdict from there, which I think is pretty poor on the high-res side, to be honest with you. I'm not a big fan of that. Why do I have headphones on? Good question. Headphones around my neck like a DJ. Let's not do that either. Headphones off. I'm not a big fan of that, personally. I think that's pretty poor by the team. 1 day difference going from a 1 week to a permanent suspension. Then again, I guess if you think you're in the wrong, it's good to be able to change your mind. It's good to change your mind if you think you're wrong, and they've gone and they found more evidence, and they have ended up permanently banning him. Let's have a look through the Reddit post from Radar, Director of Player Experience. Skip through this a bit. Basically, he says he treated him as if he was a normal player initially, and then they got some additional information and issued a permanent ban. And now this is just some stuff about how they're going to be better at banning people. I understand pro players are held to a higher standard than the average player base. They're supposed to set an example. I think all content creators should be there setting an example. And I think some of you are going to come out and say, this is the same result as what DM Brandon got in the end, and it's not quite the same. And I think we shouldn't draw those kinds of comparisons. I'm just preempting this. I'm not drawing the comparison, I hope, but I have already seen it be drawn. They know, I suppose, that they made a mistake in allowing someone like Brandon to stay around the scene for as long as he did. He was a toxic, horrible person and should not have been allowed to stay in the scene for as long as they did. And maybe this is them trying to step in the other direction and preventing that ever happening again, preventing everybody sitting there and putting up with somebody because they're well known or because they're popular and because they're not disliked by a lot of people. So maybe that's where they're going with this, and that's why we've seen them have such a strong swing here from a 7-day ban to a permanent account ban. While you are permanently account banned, you cannot play in any competitive Smite. You can't play in the SCC, you can't play in the SOC, I think you can't play in the SPL. So Julio is out. I don't know if he can still stream the game. I don't know if that's something that you can't do if you're banned. I know that you're not supposed to do any kind of like ban evasion. If you play on a Smurf while you're banned, you're not supposed to do that. So I imagine you're not supposed to stream if you're permanently banned. But I don't have the information on that to hand, to be honest. I just kind of got home, read this, and started recording, really. One thing that it is worth noting is that bans can be appealed, and I know people are going to say typically the bans that have been appealed in comp, the indefinite bans have been indefinite comp bans, but I know of at least one account ban that has been turned over, and the player from that is now playing comp. If you know who that is, I'd rather you didn't say it in the comments down below. I don't think it's worth bringing up old misdeeds like that. And I would rather you didn't sit and try and guess and speculate on who it is. I'm not going to tell you who it was. I think, it's their right to let that go. And if you know, I'd rather, again, I'll reiterate, please don't put who it was down in the comments. Just because there's just no need to bring that kind of level of ire and an extra attention onto that person. But it can be appealed. I think in the case I was talking about previously, it was like a couple years or a year at least. The person was banned before they were unbanned and allowed to join back into the league. I guess we can talk about what do I think about Julio getting permanently banned. I mean, I haven't seen the logs that they've found in particular in this case. I think for a permanent ban to come through for the things we saw initially there, I don't think personally is a fair response. I don't think that's perm ban worthy. I think, a week, a few weeks. I would have liked to see him get a week plus maybe a fine. But maybe there's further things. I've seen some pretty damning tweets of things that Huli has said to, I think, Gabu in particular, that made me uncomfortable. I don't think he was throwing around words that you should be throwing around. Especially not, I don't know when those tweets were, maybe they were a while ago, but again, people have been punished for their misdeeds. I imagine, seeing as we've seen in this Reddit thread, they said, I think, thanks to additional community reports found more serious violations that fell under our dangerous speech category, which carries a different penalty. I don't know if that means that it's all in-game, the fact that this is coming onto his in-game account. I would imagine it does. So I think this means that further things were found in-game, which we presumably have not seen. The only in-game violations... I did see a couple in-game ones. There was some Twitter stuff. There's some in-game stuff. I'm sure you can find those those messages underneath Julio's initial ban announcement on Smite Pro. If you want to go find them, I'm not going to personally point them out to you, but I'm sure you can go spot them if you want to. But yeah, he's out. Leviathans now need to switch it up. They can pick up an ADC or a solo laner. They have hardcore who can play both roles, you would think. So we'll find out what their changes are tomorrow morning. It's 11:30 for me right now on Thursday night. Yeah, so it's all a bit wild. It's all gone a bit crazy in the SPL. And this is in addition to all the mental stuff that we were all going wild about on Twitter. This was not something that all the pro players knew about and were, almost reveling in the joy of this funny roster stuff happening. This is not that. You'll find out about that tomorrow as well. This is not something we were celebrating, in case people think, how callous of you all to sit and celebrate the fact that somebody got permanently banned and their career is gone. I think that's an important thing to note. I mean, some of you might be like, oh, why do you think he should have been told ahead of time, blah, 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 blah. I mean, this is your job is kind of your life at a point, and this is his job and his life. I mean, outside of his job as a pro player, he also streams the game. I think that if he wasn't told ahead of time, I think he should be given that. I think that people should be given that courtesy, regardless of what they've done almost. No, maybe not regardless of what they've done, but if you're a public figure and you're about to get publicly told that you are permanently banned, I think you should be given a bit of time to compose yourself and come to terms with it, an hour before it's put out to the public. That's just my thoughts on that. I don't know if you agree or disagree or what you think. I know a lot of people had strong feelings on the Julio ban, thought it was lenient. So I think a lot of people will be pleased that the team have made I'm not going to say made an example of him. Maybe they have made an example of him, but they have, changed their ban policy. But I again, I'm not a fan of it taking this long for the team to sit and say that they're doing an investigation, come out with a result, and one day later, apparently, new information comes to light. I think that means that the investigation was insufficient, poorly done. And I think it just makes it more painful for all involved. Well, more painful for Julio, certainly. And it also raises a load of anger from the community who wanted him to face more severe consequences on the day you put your ruling out. So I think it's just a bad look overall for me. We'll see if we get more info in the coming days. I'm looking forward for tomorrow to hear about all the roster changes and discuss them all with you. I think we'll be hearing about it tomorrow morning American time, so probably sometime around 10 ET, perhaps, is what I would estimate. I'll be putting a video live as soon as the announcement comes out, so look forward to that. We've got an interview with Slaney to come. Thanks everybody for watching. Let me know how you're all feeling about it. Please try and keep things civil. My YouTube comments have been thoroughly unpleasant as of late, I'm sorry to say. Mostly the SOT stuff being needlessly hijacked by people with persecution complexes trying to put forward an agenda about something which it was not even about. But regardless, just try and keep it fucking sensible, huh? Let's just try and keep it calm. Don't go shouting at each other. If you see somebody's opinion you disagree with, if you're gonna disagree with them back, I wouldn't even encourage replying, honestly. Just use the upvote and downvote buttons. But if you really want to argue with them, just try and be civil, please. I would appreciate it. I just don't need to read extra negativity every day. I know I'm sounding a bit up my own arse right now, but, a few pints. That's it from me. Thanks for watching. This has been Hazy Hayvering after a few pints, and I'll speak to you all tomorrow. Goodbye.